they came for him. Welcome to Stories from the Night, the channel where shadows come alive and the unexplained becomes all too real. Tonight, we take you to the heart of small-town Kansas, a quiet, unassuming place where one man's ambition unleashed a terror that no one could have prepared for. This is the story of Dr. Ernest Calloway, a man who captured what humanity was never meant to possess, and the terrifying vengeance that followed. But what begins as a battle of wills turns into a nightmare far darker, forcing Calloway to confront an impossible choice with consequences that would echo far beyond Brookhaven. Turn off the lights, settle in, and prepare yourself for a tale of terror, suspense, and extraterrestrial vengeance. Brookhaven, Kansas, was the kind of town where time stood still. Its wide-open fields stretched endlessly under the vast sky, and its quiet nights were broken only by the occasional bark of a dog or the low hum of a passing truck. It was a place where nothing extraordinary ever happened. That all changed one summer night. A fiery streak lit up the sky, brighter and longer than any shooting star. It screamed across the heavens, trailing smoke and fire before disappearing behind the treetops near Dr. Calloway's property. Moments later, a deafening crash echoed through the woods, shaking the ground and waking the town from its slumber. Speculation ran wild the next morning. Some said it was a meteor. Others whispered about military experiments. But Dr. Ernest Calloway knew better. Once a celebrated astrophysicist, Calloway had retreated to Brookhaven years ago, hiding his true work behind the facade of a reclusive scientist. His barn, though modest on the outside, housed a secret laboratory filled with technology that was decades, if not centuries, beyond its time. Calloway wasn't just searching for proof of extraterrestrial life. He was preparing to capture it. And that night, he succeeded. The woods behind his property were eerily silent as he approached the crash site. His flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing twisted trees and scorched earth. What he found made his breath catch. A sleek, metallic craft, half buried in the soil. Its surface shimmered like liquid silver, unmarked by fire or impact. Inside, he discovered the alien. It was humanoid in shape, but unmistakably otherworldly. Its translucent skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Its large, black eyes seemed to peer into the depths of Calloway's mind, even in its unconscious state. Dragging the being back to his lab, Calloway secured it in a reinforced steel cage. This was it, the moment he had dreamed of. He imagined the headlines, the accolades, the vindication of a lifetime of ridicule. But as he studied the creature, unease began to creep in. The alien wasn't just a specimen, it was alive. Its bioluminescent patterns pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Its eyes followed Calloway's every move, unblinking and filled with a depth of intelligence that made his skin crawl. It never made a sound, yet Calloway often felt as though it was speaking to him, an eerie whisper at the edge of his thoughts. A week after the crash, Brookhaven began to change. Strange lights appeared in the sky, moving in patterns too precise to be aircraft. Crops withered overnight. Strange symbols burned into the soil. Livestock became restless, their cries echoing across the fields long after dark. Then came the fog. It rolled in without warning, thick and oppressive, swallowing the town whole. Within the fog, people claimed to see figures, tall, spindly silhouettes with glowing eyes. Radios emitted strange static, and power outages became the norm. Dr. Calloway, however, was unconcerned. He knew what was happening. They were coming for their own. He saw it as a battle of wills, a chance to prove humanity's superiority, and he was ready. The first strike came at midnight. 3 massive triangular ships descended silently from the clouds, their surfaces gleaming like liquid metal. They emitted no sound, only a faint, bone-deep hum that seemed to vibrate through the air itself. Beams of light swept across the fields, illuminating the barn like a stage. Inside, Calloway activated his defenses. Automated turrets emerged from hidden panels, firing bursts of plasma at the approaching ground forces. The aliens were tall and sinewy, their glowing bioluminescent patterns shifting like living tattoos. They moved with inhuman speed, disabling the turrets with weapons that emitted pulses of light, frying circuits and rendering Calloway's technology useless. Then the fog thickened, and Calloway felt a presence. "Release him," a voice echoed in his mind. Not spoken, but projected. Startled, he spun to face the cage. The alien's eyes bore into his, its glowing patterns flaring brighter. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Calloway hissed, defiance masking the tremor in his voice. But then the alien's gaze shifted to the corner of the lab, where a photograph rested on a cluttered desk. A photo of Calloway and his 10-year-old daughter, Emma. The alien leader stepped forward, carrying a small, intricate device. Its glowing patterns intensified, pulsing in a slow, rhythmic cadence. Calloway froze as the alien raised the device and a holographic image appeared before him. It was Emma. She was asleep in her bed, peaceful and unaware. "Release him," the voice repeated, colder this time, "or she will suffer." Calloway's blood ran cold. What are you talking about?" he stammered. The alien didn't answer. Instead, the holographic image shifted. Emma's skin turned gray, her veins darkened, and her eyes clouded over. A sickly green mist seeped into the room, and she gasped, clawing at her throat before collapsing into stillness. "No!" Calloway screamed. "Don't you dare!" The hologram vanished, and the alien stepped closer. "We offer you a choice," the voice said. "Release him, and she will live. Refuse, and we will ensure that no trace of her remains." Calloway's mind raced. He had spent years building his defenses, planning for every contingency. But this was something he hadn't prepared for. The barn shuddered as another beam struck, blowing apart the roof. Calloway scrambled to his laptop, frantically attempting to upload his findings to a private server. He turned on the camera, his voice shaking. "This is proof," he shouted. "They are real, and they are here. Humanity must be prepared." The wall exploded inward, cutting him off mid-sentence. Calloway was thrown to the ground as the aliens entered. Their leader raised the device, and Calloway's body froze. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. He could only watch as the creature leaned closer, its black eyes reflecting his terror. "You were warned," the voice said. The alien turned to the cage, dissolving the steel bars with a wave of its hand. The captive alien stepped forward, its glowing patterns pulsing in gratitude. The leader turned back to Calloway, its gaze cold and unyielding. "Your kind has much to learn," it said. The last thing Calloway saw was the device flaring to life, engulfing him in a blinding light. The next morning, Brookhaven woke to silence. The fog was gone, the power had returned, but Calloway's barn was nothing more than a smoldering ruin. No one could explain the strange symbols burned into the earth, or the scorched circles that marred the fields. And while the official report blamed a gas explosion, the townsfolk knew better. Calloway's daughter, Emma, was found safe in her bed, but she couldn't remember the events of the night. All she knew was the strange dream she had of glowing lights and dark, unblinking eyes. Brookhaven would never be the same. The people avoided the woods and watched the skies with unease, knowing that somewhere out there, the visitors were still watching, waiting. and they weren't coming back to negotiate. If tonight's story sent chills down your spine, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Stories from the Night. We've got more terrifying tales of the unexplained to keep you up at night. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious and stay safe.